Are you making the same mistake that President Biden did?
No, absolutely not. I did this out of conviction. And look, in my caucus, we have a disagreement as to, some people voted one way, some people voted the other. But we've all agreed to respect each other because each side saw why the other side felt so strongly about it. And our caucus is united in fighting Donald Trump every step of the way. Our goal, our plan, which we're united on, is to make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck in modern history by showing how bad his policies are. He represents the oligarchs, as I said. He's hurting average people in every way. And we are, through oversight hearings, we're exposing what he's doing. Through the courts, which I mentioned, we've had some real success in, through legislation, and through organizing in all the districts throughout the country. So that I believe that because the Republicans are already nervous, a lot of them said don't hold town hall meetings. I believe by 2026, the Republicans in the House and Senate will feel like they're rats on a sinking ship because we have so gone after Trump and all the horrible things he's doing, and they will know it, see it, hate it, and act on it.
Let me ask you about something former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Tuesday about your decision. She said, quote, "I myself don't give away anything for nothing." And I think that's what happened the other day. Do you acknowledge that Democrats didn't get anything in this fight, Leader Schumer?
Well, what we got at the end of the day is avoiding the horror of a shutdown. There was no leverage point that we could have asked for things. They just would have said no, and because they controlled, let's not forget, they control the House and Senate, they could force a vote, yes or no, on the CR without any additions. Patty Murray tried very hard to get them to add things, and they said no. And because of the rules of the Senate, they could force a vote, yes or no. It was a difficult vote. We talked about it in caucus a lot, and I voted because I thought, I say to people, when you're on that political mountain, the higher up you climb, the more fiercely the winds blow. And the only way you stop being blown off the mountain is your internal gyroscope. My internal gyroscope said, regardless of the fact that some people would not like it, which I knew, that I had to do the right thing for the country and for our party.
Just very quickly, Leader Schumer, because I want to get to your book, I want to play a moment of you, a protest from last month, other Democrats protesting Elon Musk's Doge cuts. Take a look.
I am going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. We will win. We will win. We will win.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to members of your own party who feel like that type of resistance is not meeting the enormity of this moment, this political fight that's required?
Well, I said, that was one day and one line, and but we are fighting in every way, in the courts, in oversight, in legislation, in organizing, and we're united. Hakeem and I are united. Our caucuses are united in moving forward on that way. And I think if we fight, as I said, we can make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck in recent history. His Republican colleagues will want to abandon him and will do very, very well in the 2026 elections.
All right.
I'm now going to attempt the worst ever John Cena impression. Chuck! 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 It's high time we stir the pot, and I'm not just talking about the WWE ring. I'm talking the big league, the Democratic Party, Chuck. And let me tell you, Chuck, you've been about as excited as a glass of water at a hot sauce convention. Now, listen here, Chuck. It's time for a change of scenery. Why don't you pack up your filibusters and head on over with the likes of Trump and Elon? Picture this. Billionaires and their bureaucrats starring you, Chuck, on prime time TV. And think about the spotlight, Chuck. I can see you now, making the rounds on Fox News, where they flip more than pancakes at a breakfast buffet. Chuck, get yourself some of those sweet endorsements from folks like Charlie Kirk. Man, that dude thinks a hashtag can save the world. Oh, And the Twitter fame or the X fame, Chuck. Can you imagine all the likes you're going to get from Elon's bros? Your phone will be buzzing more than a beekeeper's convention. Feel it, Chuck. But let's cut to the chase. Chucky, you've been in this game longer than I've been tossing guys twice my size. Bit Lindsey Graham there. Over the top rope. And what's it got in you? Maybe it's time to tap out, take a bow and let the new kids run the show. Ever thought about a career in wrestling, Chuck? I hear they're looking for fresh, old faces. So Chuck, before you try to wrestle me into a debate, remember one thing. I'm the worst John Cena impression. You can't see me, but oh buddy, you're definitely gonna hear me. We won't be doing that again. But you get the message.
Late night memo. Trump also vowed to punish lawyers and law firms who opposed him by rescinding their security clearances and canceling any of their federal contracts. With me now, political reporter for the Washington Post, Mariana Alfaro. Good morning to you. So let's start with this. Get this out of the way. Rescinding these security clearances. Is there anything other than revenge here? Remember that this is the president who came in 2025 saying that he would not target his political rivals. What is this?
Yes, I mean, there is really no precedent this large of a president, removing security clearances from so many folks that have openly said or warned against his return to the White House, right? And I think it's the closest he can do so far. In terms of what he has said, he could do to these people. I mean, he's already talked about removing certain securities and protections from, for example, Liz Cheney and Kissinger, who, were the only two Republicans in the committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. So I think it's the first tool or sharpest tool he could find so far. And it seems like he is sticking to that promise he made, of seeking some sort of pushback or hitting back against the people that so criticized him in the last administration.
You seem convinced that he doesn't want to expand the territory beyond what he's taken now. I know there's going to be a conversation about how much of that Ukraine does or doesn't get back. But you're convinced that he's not going to go further or have aspirations towards Europe. Obviously, they're concerned about that being much closer to this geographically. But 2014, we had Crimea. That hasn't come back. Why? And he's, gone far beyond that in this most recent attack on Ukraine. So why are you convinced that he won't press further if he's given some reward or some territory this time around?
Well, look, he's been at war for several years. It's in large part been about those 5 regions, and it's in his speeches. There's a view within the country of Russia that these are Russian territories, that there are referendums within these territories that justify these actions. This is not me taking sides. I'm just identifying what the issues are. I've never seen a conflict that can be resolved without level setting the facts, and we're level setting the facts. Now, I've been asked my opinion, so about what President Putin's motives are on a larger scale, and I simply have said that I just don't see that he wants to take all of Europe. This is a much different situation than it was in World War II. In World War II, there was no NATO. So you have countries that are armed there. To me, it just does. I take him at his word in this sense. So, and I think the Europeans are beginning to come to that belief too. But it sort of doesn't matter. That's an academic issue. The real issue here, the agenda set forth by President Trump, he is my boss, and I adhere to that fact. The agenda is stop the killing, stop the carnage. Let's end this thing. You can't end things without communicating with both sides, understanding what each of them need, and then trying to bring them together. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and we certainly hope that there's great progress in those talks this week, getting to this point and now moving forward. But I want to make sure while we have you that we ask about the